people of the internet! Welcome back to another live stream assembly. It is I, Don Thomas, back in here with another one. As always, folks, the likes, the comments, the subscribes have all been greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for the support on this channel. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into tonight's topics, folks. This comes from the Hardly Initiated podcast over on YouTube, man. They sat down with Rotimi. Of course, if you guys know Rotimi, Rotimi is a R&B artist of Nigerian descent. Of course, he's also an actor as well, too, on shows that you might be familiar with, such as Power, the earlier seasons of Power. And I see a title here, Rotimi on why witchcraft in Hollywood and why his wife left the entertainment. Turned down witchcraft for fame. These are things that I like to hear stories about, man. People that are in the industry, we always hear that people, sell their souls to the devil, and, there's this, that, whatever the case is, witchcraft and voodoo and this, that, and the other, all for these luxurious worldly possessions and accolades. Stories like that interest me, folks. Of course, as somebody who's working within this space and am trying to somewhat climb the ladder within this space, not necessarily for fame or whatever the case is, but being in a space that, of course, is associated with entertainment and media, this, that, and the other. Of course, you know that there's the elevator and then there's the stairs, right? And there are people who subscribe to taking the elevator to get to where they want and the things that they want to accomplish, whatever the case is. I subscribe to taking the stairs. So I'm interested in this story. Of course, shout out to these brothers over on Hardly Initiated. Let's get a little bit of insight from this conversation with Rotimi.
And she didn't sacrifice herself with witchcraft.
Right.
And for real, like,
right.
She's been approached to elevate to the next level.
Oh, that's a real thing.
Oh, that's a real thing, bro. That's a real, like, witchcraft, voodoo, juju, all of that is a real thing.
To get to the next level in career.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. Yes.
Wow.
It's a real thing. So she's been presented opportunities like, hey, this is what we do. This is how we move. This is the things that you have to do to get to this level by top execs. And she was like, I'm not with it. And then also she wasn't going to sleep her way to the top. So then it caused her, and she didn't have management really for real. So like, she's successful. She's doing all these things. And she's to the point where it's like, I'm drunk, man. I got a drink to get out my head and just find peace. And that with liquor brought depression. So at that point, she was like, this is not me. I love the music, but I hate the business. And she just was like, I can't do it anymore. So that was how she kind of let it go. But yeah, witchcraft, warlocks and voodoo, juju, black magic, all of that is hyper real. That's what made me even believe more in God.
Right. It's so crazy because you get desensitized to it because you will see like the interviews and just people telling the stories.
But that's what they want you to do, though.
Right.
Yeah, that's the mission. Like the devil, the enemy can't lie to you for real. He got to tell you what it is and you choose to believe it or not. You know what I mean? Like, hey, this person drinks goat blood. Yeah. But I told you that it did. And it's not hiding it. It's just, you just desensitized to it that, no, this is a real thing. You know what I mean? So that's just the ways of the devil.
Has it, you still in the industry. So has that caused any friction at all in your, how have you both been able to manage still being able to, be in the entertainment industry and still standing on what you're standing on?
I just do the work, bro. You know what I mean? There's no gimmicks. I don't do things for likes. I do it because this is my purpose. You know what I mean? So like, she knows who I am. So she knows she has nothing to really worry about, So also she knows she has nothing to worry about, but then she also knows that, that how the industry is like, so she knows, oh, he's going to be working long hours. He's got to go on tour. She did all these things at a high level herself. So she's just like my vessel to help me with that,
Yeah.
So, and then she takes care of our kids. She got her own businesses, so like it's a partnership that is just very unique, and I'm grateful for it. But yeah, I mean, for me, bro, like I go to work, I'm not distracted. I love my supporters. We chose not to play the game of just, yo, what are we gonna do for clickbait? That's where it goes left, And so it's like, I know that I could slap a girl on the butt and be like, yeah, this is nice, da 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 da, yeah, and then grind on her, and then it's gonna go on Shade Room.
Right.
I know I can do that. Then whatever song I'm promoting at that time is going #1. I know my tour gonna sell out, but I'm not a gimmick. You know, I don't believe in those things. You know, and I got to answer to somebody higher than that. Like, yo, bro, like, what are you doing? You know, and so yeah. So again, we realized with that mindset that, yo, let's build situations like this. Like, for example, focus on the tour, focus on the people that genuinely love you, focus on the ability to captivate everyone that gets your message, and stop chasing things. So I surrendered to that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I surrendered to that.
Pause it right there real quick. Shout out to this brother, man. Shout out to Rotimi, man. Of course, you guys might be familiar with him if you watch Power. He's an R&B artist, Afro beats, Nigerian music, whatever the case is, R&B. He's doing his thing internationally and here in the United States as well too. This is him telling a story. Of course, the video is entitled Rotimi on Witchcraft in Hollywood and why his wife left the entertainment industry, of course. So the entertainment industry was a story that he was telling in the beginning of how his wife had to fall back from that and how she was proposed, from entities that maybe, I think she's an international artist, if I'm not mistaken, I think from Tanzania. And she was proposed these things, folks. And then, yeah, if you know, you know. Like, I'm definitely familiar. It is definitely a thing. In all countries. I feel like every country has their witchcraft, black magic, voodoo, goat blood, whatever the case is, to reach certain heights in their career, accolades, whatever the case is, for these worldly possessions, which I would consider taking the elevator, man. But what's the value in that, right? Why compromise your morals, your integrity, your soul, for these worldly accolades that where you could die the next day. You could, and I like how he said it as well too, man. I got to answer to a higher power, right? There's a higher power, of course, if you are spiritually aligned as well too. There's a higher power that you got to, answer to when you've sold your soul and compromised your morals, knowing that you know better, man. A lot of these situations, you know better, man. And is it really that serious? Is it really that serious? Like, do you gotta? He's 100% right. Like, I've heard of stories. Of course, I'm of West African descent. I have heard stories of the witch doctors and the voodoo. You got every country. I think everybody has their thing, right? And of course, these are things that people do to accelerate themselves in their career, financially, whatever the case is. These are things do as malicious attacks upon other people, of course, whatever the case is. It's very prominent in a lot of these cultures, that people will look to, other means to either hide themselves in their career or use as a weapon towards other people. That's why y'all got to stay prayed up out here, man. Enlighten your soul. Build your relationship with a higher power, right? To make sure that you're asking for that protection, not only just physically, but spiritually as well, too. We hear it all the time, folks. Of course, it's very common within this industry. We hear about people selling their souls to the devil. It's so common, right? I had a thought, actually, now that we're on this topic. I've had this thought for some time, right? Where you hear the stories. It's so common in our culture to hear people say, oh, this person sold their soul to the devil. Right? We see it in popular culture. We see it in Hollywood, this, that, and the other, music industry, whatever the case is. We're so quick to say this person sold their soul to the devil when it looks like they've, progressed exponentially, or they, sacrificed, whatever the case is, this, that, whatever the case is. And we chalk their success up to them selling their soul to the devil. And then I had a thought, I had a thought to myself, like, all right, cool. So to be able to acknowledge the fact that somebody sold their soul to the devil, it's like, okay, you must be admitting one of two things, or two things actually. So that means you are admitting that there is indeed a devil, right? Because it's so funny, like, we hear stories like that, somebody sold their soul to the devil, and people will say like, oh yeah, whatever the case is. But as soon as you start talking about God, it's just like, oh, no, what? Right? So to say somebody sold their soul to the devil, I ask myself, like, if one could sell their soul to the devil, what does it look like to sell your soul to God? Right? Let's ponder on that for a little bit, man. Why is it so socially accepted to say, man, this person sold their soul to the devil? That's how they got their accolades and their riches, whatever the case is. So it's just like, it hit me one day. It's like, wait, hold on. If you can sell your soul to the devil, that means you're acknowledging that there is such a thing as the devil, right? We always hear that. This is like, all right, then there must be a God then. Is there not? Why are we so quick to accept that, oh, he sold his soul to the devil, but as soon as you talk about God, people start scrunching up their face when you start talking about God? And it's so common, we hear it in our popular culture. Of course, this person sold their soul to the devil. That's how they got their fame. That's how they got their riches. They sold their soul to the devil. So I had a thought, like, man, if you can sell your soul to the devil, what does it look like to sell your soul to God? If one is true, the other has to be true, right? If somebody can sell their soul for riches and fame, whatever the case is, to expedite the process, what does it look like to sell your soul to God? And I, my friends, have committed myself to that journey or that exploration to do exactly that. I have sold my soul to God. I'm not here to get super religious with the cases, but of course I'm not ashamed to share with you guys my spiritual beliefs. Of course, I'm not the most religious person, as I always like to say as well too, with today's traditional religions and this, that, and the other. But I do practice building a relationship with a higher power, which I like to call God, the creator, the source energy, right? Whatever you want to refer to it as. I encourage all of us, myself included, as I've done for some years now, building that relationship. If you can sell your soul to the devil, ask yourself, what does it look like to sell your soul to God? Right? I like to believe that's not compromising on your morals. I like to believe that's, asking for guidance and discernment as you're maneuvering through these waters. Because we all know it, folks. We hear these stories all the time. The entertainment industry is a very dark industry. Me personally, I don't like Hollywood. I don't even like the music industry. Like, I like to watch from afar. Like, of course, I want to work with somewhere within this media entertainment space, but I don't want to be in it necessarily. I want to work adjacent, right? Like, I want to work alongside, like, where it's just like, all right, y'all could do whatever y'all doing on that side, and I'm going to be on this side, of course, doing my own thing, right? Because I do know there's a lot of temptation. I do know there's a lot of destruction. There's a lot of lawlessness, of course, within this space as well, too, right? So I am somebody, of course, for some years now, I've committed myself to selling my soul to God, and I tried to carry myself to the best of my abilities in working so accordingly, right? Of course, none of us are perfect. We all have our flaws. We all have our shortcomings. We all have our, whatever the case. I'm not saying that, but to actively try. If one can sell their soul to the devil, then I have reason to believe that you can sell your soul to God, right? It just has to be like that. If you can sell your soul to the devil, why do we commonly say, man, that man right there, he sold his soul to the devil. Look at all those riches and all those fame or whatever the case. Oh, no, he had to sell his soul to the devil. How do you know he didn't sell his soul to God and just took the stairs? Why do we say that? Like, why is that so common in our U.S. culture, just popular culture, that a person sold their soul to the devil? Or blood sacrifice and this, that, whatever the case is. Oh, man, they're only successful because they sold their soul to the devil. How do you know that person didn't sell their soul to God? I aspire to do that, man. I don't know, like, why we popularize that saying in this culture, that a person sold their soul to the devil. If you can sell your soul to the devil, I believe that you can sell your soul to God. That is something that I'm exploring myself personally right now, and I want to see where it gets me. Not compromising my morals, not doing no sneaky shit to other people. I don't got to do none of that to get to where I'm going, and you don't either. Let that be a message to anybody out there in the world that's working within this space, or just even within the regular world as well, to corporate America. You don't have to sell your soul to the devil to get that, CEO position or leadership position at your job, or to spite another person, whatever the case is. Just focus on your own path. Focus on what you got going on, man. You don't have to do these things to get the things that you want in this world, because at the end of the day, this is a short experience. Our lives could be over in a blink of an eye. So how would you feel you just compromise and sacrifice your morals for these fleeting worldly possessions? What, for a house, for a Grammy, for some accolades? What, like, what's the end result? Like, your soul is worth a Grammy, an award from an academy that doesn't even care about two shits about you, whatever the case is. Like, that's what you're chasing? Some money that you could wake up one day and not have access to your funds, whatever the case is, looking at how the market is going. That's what you sold your soul for riches, for fame? Come on, guys. We got to be a little bit more mindful for these things in this worldly game that we're playing, man. There's a lot of things that we put on a pedestal that I don't think we should be put on a pedestal at all. Again, this video is entitled, just speaking on witchcraft. Rotimi is speaking on witchcraft, of course, in the entertainment industry. I think I did watch this. I watched this segment before, but this was just a clip that I came across on YouTube. Again, being that I am somebody who is trying to work somewhat within this space. Again, I don't care to be in Hollywood. I don't care to be in the music industry. I don't care to, whatever the case is, but I do want to find my footing, right? I want to find my footing, my little square, right? My little circle within this space. But I want to do so without compromising my morals. I want to do so without selling my soul to the devil. And in reverse, just selling my soul to God. Stay committed to the plan that he has for your life, man. Again, if you're people that believe in a higher power and walking the path of righteousness, then I believe it could be done. You could still get to your destination. Yeah, it might take you longer, but it's going to feel better when you get there, is my personal belief. And I am looking to be a testament to that fact exactly. Of course, I always make sure I do a good job of linking these stories down in the description as well, too. So that way, if you are interested in stories like this, or you want to subscribe to any of the people that we went over today, then you'll be able to do so.